So not too long ago, I put up a poll asking what you guys would like me to dive more into in terms of behind the scenes. And surprisingly, you guys voted for the October Takeover event that I did back in 2019. I was surprised because I thought there would be a lot more to explore in terms of Prom King or Chi-Chi's radio show. But I'm pretty sure I know the real reason you guys picked it. You like to watch me cringe. And probably because Eleanor was in the title, and I know how you guys like your chipmunks. But seriously, I think the October Takeover was a huge milestone for the channel. It was the first time I attempted to bring two of my universes together for a story, even if it was a bit more simpler than what would follow. I think it was still a really good starting point, and for 2019, I don't think I did too bad of a job, but I haven't watched it in a while, so who knows, it's probably going to be a lot worse than I remember it, just like the rest of my old videos. So while we're in the middle of Spooky Month, I think this is the perfect time to dive into this arc of the channel and see what holds up, what doesn't, and learn a bit more behind the scenes trivia. So let's slip on these bad boys and get ready to react to the October Takeover and Eleanor Wants to Play audiobook. And yes, I know my headphones are broken and garbage. I will buy a new pair eventually. I'm in the middle of getting evicted right now, and my new headphones are the least of my concerns. So the October Takeover consists of 8 videos, 3 SFM shorts, and 5 chapters of an audiobook. So before we begin, I could actually start with some trivia. First off, I wanted to have a lore reason as to why Chi-Chi didn't have her costume, because her original SFM model was deleted from the Steam Workshop months prior to the October Takeover. I tossed around a few ideas, such as her being damaged in an alleyway and fixed by Wildcat, and funny enough, I saw a crossover involving Chi-Chi without a costume and Nightmare Chi-Chi locked in a trap together, controlled by Nightmare Chipmunk Chi-Chi. God, that name is still such a tongue twister. You know what? I'm just gonna call it NCC. Cool. Ultimately, I would end up settling on the idea of the villains taking over the channel for October and uploading their own spooky videos. These villains would include Nightmare Chi-Chi, with her first ever speaking role, and NCC, the character created specifically for this October project. Whatever the final one was gonna be, she was gonna be the ultimate evil, and she was ultimately going to die at the end. I never planned to have her be a recurring character. But anyway, let's push play on October plans. The downward spiral begins now.
What's happening? Where's my costume?
JJ?
Oh yeah, this is Kane's first speaking role as well.
Know. I can answer that for you. Who's there?
And this would be an echo for Nightmare Chi-Chi that would never come back. I mean, this echo sort of fits Jacko Chi-Chi, and we could write it up as just being an echo that came with her costume. But yeah, in the long run, I think changing her echo is a good idea.
I am Nightmare Chi-Chi, but with my Halloween costume on.
So yeah, you'll never hear this
I'm
echo
Jacko
from her again.
Chi-Chi.
Don't forget about
Oh yeah,
me.
the one and only appearance of Jacko
not,
Kane.
my dear Jacko Kane.
It's interesting looking back on this now that we've written it with a bit more, like, lore, I guess. It was ultimately made just to explain away the missing costume. But in season 1 of Chi-Chi's radio show, the whole reason for the kidnapping would be so Nightmare Chi-Chi can steal Chi-Chi's memories. And the only way she could do that was by stripping her down to her endoskeleton and accessing her memory chip. Yeah, it doesn't really explain Jacko Kane. You know what? She made it. She made it. She wanted it to be a part of the costume. You know, she found a way to give it life and have the same voice. She just wanted a part of a costume, and he gets one line and dies anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I didn't write this series with that origin in mind, so it's going to be interesting watching it through now with that new context.
You see, with Halloween approaching, I figured I
Also
should
gotta
do
love that
something on the
freaking diagonal volumetric SFM lighting from like where it clips inside the wall. God, my lighting was so bad. I've definitely come a long way since then.
It's nothing but Chipmunks and Sonic now. We have to bring back the scares.
I mean, it's
Didn't really
still
have that many scares
Chipmunks
to
and
begin with.
Sonic. Nothing's
I
changed.
think the scariest thing on the channel were those terrible voiceovers.
Ooh. So even as early as 2019, I was bashing my older content. I don't really know if you were able to earn that badge. In 2019, be like, oh, that video I made last year? Ugh, cringe.
Remember that Emperor's New Clothes collab part? Gasoline? Break my mind? We need to bring that stuff back.
Actually, it's kind of funny to think that, like, soon after this, there would be Chipmunks and Sonic videos for Halloween. But they would be, like, much more violent and gruesome than any FNAF video I had ever done in the past. It's kind of funny in hindsight.
I have captured you two and destroyed your costume.
Oh yeah, worst line in
Why
history
would you
coming
do
up.
that?
Because I'm evil, and I like people suffering.
Ugh. Because I'm evil and I like people suffering. God, why did I write that line? It's so bad and it's so out of character. Even if Nightmare Chi-Chi's like putting on an act here to be like, haha, I kidnapped you, I'm evil, totally, ha 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 ha. That's still a terrible line. Ugh. Cringe.
I'm going to find a way out of here and get you a new costume.
Actually, I think Kane's echo is slightly different in this video as well. Not sure. It's definitely more like reverby compared to his echo in the radio show. At least from what I remember. Oh yeah, Jacka Kane dies. There you go. Oh, that drawing. Ugh. I mean, there's aspects of her design that I like. I like the like striped dress and tall collar. I don't like how she has like no hair in front of her and how she's basically just a traced PNG. There's no texture. Oh, even if my drawings still aren't that good today, they're better than this. And she doesn't blend with the environment. There's like no, she doesn't cast any shadows anywhere. She hasn't been color corrected to fit the environment. It's just bad video. Bad video. But let's muster on. We've still got like 7 more after this.
Let's just say that this
Her echo still kind of works.
the only one with a Nightmare Chi-Chi. I have Chipmunk Chi-Chi captured as well. She won't be
Also
making
love the
any
outline
this month.
outside the
On
wings.
the other hand,
Because coloring inside the lines is for preschoolers.
I have the power to kill you instantly.
And she still does it for some reason.
As much as I hate the idea of chipmunks taking the spotlight, you seem to be on the side of evil. Plus, that's a pretty scary design.
No, it's not.
You've got yourself a deal.
Okay, I think the whole, like, pretending to be evil to erase the memory chip doesn't quite work for, like, it doesn't quite explain her interactions with NCC very well. Again, this was made without that endgame in mind. But I think, yeah, maybe she's just putting on an act for this person she's never met before, because, I mean, she doesn't want to come across as weak and have this powerful entity who could kill her in one go kill her. So, I guess she had to keep up the evil charade. At least for the month of October.
This is going to be the best Halloween this stupid channel has ever had.
Doubt it. God, that laugh was so bad. Because, like, I recorded all of NCC's lines at, like, half speed. So, I would have ended up recording it, like, but back in 2019, I was still kind of inexperienced with, like, doing the slowed down speed up thing. Like, outside of a couple of projects where I voiced the Gibbets, like the In Our Lives series that Jacob briefly had.
Hello, everyone! Britt, you didn't need to speak. The boys were just telling the viewers what's happening. Yeah, I just wanted to speak.
I didn't really voice Chipmunk characters, so I didn't have a good grip on talking slow and speeding up. So I think in this October special, and for like the first 2 or 3 episodes of the radio show, you could definitely feel that level of inexperience. But I think over the years, the Chipmunk voices have definitely sounded a lot more natural. There's been an awkward delivery every now and then, but they're a lot better than what they were back in 2019, which is good. I've improved in some aspect. But yeah, that was October Plans, the first video. And then next we have Trendsetter. In hindsight, I don't know why I picked this song. I think it's just because I saw it in Aralie's MEP collection and it was really cool and I wanted to edit it. Ultimately, I feel like this one was very rushed because I wanted to try and squeeze in and like Nightmare Chi-Chi rebelling, and this was the best way to do it apparently, by making her own like 30-second SFM clip with lyrics and stuff. Yeah, I don't remember this one holding up really well. Yeah, it's only one way to find out. no overlay or anything. Oh, very bad animation and clipping. Oh, no blood, bad animation. Yeah, it's so stiff. And that is bad. Okay, that was Trendsetter. That was terrible. Like, the movement in it was very stiff. There was, like, no... Like, it had lyric editing, but it was, like, nothing fun. No fun transitions. No, like, fun camera movements. It was bad. And you could definitely get the sense that this was rushed. Even though this came out, like, halfway through October, I still had plenty of time. But then again, I still had a whole audiobook to edit. Speaking of which, we are ready to dive into the first chapter of the book. So this was NCC's Halloween special. Like, this is what she wanted to upload as the Halloween special for the channel. And then I think I ended up releasing these every couple days with the finale premiering on Halloween. Kind of like what I'm doing with the What If speed edits at the moment, where I'm doing them once a week with the final one getting released on Halloween. The SFM sections didn't really have any gore or descriptions of violence or disgusting stuff, but this audiobook certainly does. So if that's not your thing, you can skip to the time seen on screen to just skip ahead to the final part of it. But for those who do want to see my commentary on the audiobook, which is probably the main reason you voted for this in the first place, let's go.
Her eyes opened, her vision blurred. All
Man,
she
I am
could
not
see
really a
were
good
shades of
narrator.
black, blue, and grey.
Jeanette, where are we?
Oh, yep, there you go. There's more of my Chipette voice acting, and the girls all sounded the exact same. I tried changing up the voices, but I think they all ended up just sounding the same. Like, I think Brittany and Eleanor especially. Like, at least Jeanette, I had a bit more of, like, twang, you know? Something like Anna Faris. Only bad. But then Brittany and Eleanor were practically the same. Just like, I can't believe we're stuck in a freaking room. And it's disgusting. And Jeanette, you look disgusting. And Eleanor, what the hell are you wearing? And then Eleanor was basically that, but with like a weird happy twist. It's like,
How? Brittany, you have no idea where you are, do you? You are in my dungeon. Make of that what you will.
God, that was so bad. I'm sorry. And again, you're gonna hear a lot more of that weirdly formatted sentence kind of thing that my chipmunk voices had during this period.
Jeanette spoke back to her.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, there you go. There's a good example of her saying, I don't know. She says that, like, I don't know. And it's like, it doesn't really flow, probably. But you know what? If I pause and stop every time that one of those awkward deliveries comes up, this video is going to be 3 hours long.
I can't see. What is that thing? No.
That delivery was slightly better, though.
Answer, Brittany. Allow me to answer that.
The voice belonged to a female chipmunk, but not just any female chipmunk.
The only other female chipmunk that could exist besides Brittany and Jeanette.
Eleanor?
The girls said in unison. At that point, they could see Eleanor's face in the puppets.
Eleanor looks like Squiddy.
What is going on? And what the heck is that you're wearing?
Pretty in character with
Spoke
Brittany.
in her usual bratty tone.
Always caring about looks more than anything else. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
I do care about more than just looks. Bullshit!
We got one! We got a swear word, everybody! Woo! Swearing was such a new concept for my channel at the time. Like, I wasn't dropping these kinds of, like, S-bombs. It's kind of weird hearing it, and even now I still don't really drop them. The only time I use swear words is in, like, intense emotional scenes. I don't use them just unnecessarily, you know?
I never got any attention. Where's my love?
Ultimately, years later, she would get a lot more love from the community, but this was written at a time where Brittany was just like, the most edited character in the history.
One who comforted me about my height, saying I was beautiful just the way I was. That's why he's the only one who's not a victim in my traps. Traps? Why
Another
are you
awkward
telling
Jeanette
me
delivery.
that? I'll show you what I did to Ian.
A TV screen on the wall flickered to show a security recording, which the girls watched in great horror.
I think this was like a merged chapter. Like I released the story on Wattpad before I made the video, and I had it as 6 chapters, with the Ian trap section being like chapter 2 mini extension prologue. No, not prologue. Like, you know, it was a much shorter chapter, but I thought for the sake of the video, squeezing it in with chapter 1 would be a better fit. Ultimately, it meant that the chapters only got shorter and shorter as time went on, which is kind of funny. Usually it's the other way around.
Ian woke up under a spotlight. He looked down to see he was high up, and down below were a pit of spikes.
Mortal Kombat
He
style.
also noticed on his feet were green high heels, super glued on. A TV screen flickered, and the puppet's face appeared on the screen.
Hello, Ian. I want to play a game.
She said it!
You have spent your entire life selfishly caring about money, fame, and food.
If I were to redo this, I'd probably pick a better TV effect, because I could barely understand her.
You were exploiting and whom they were feeling. You told me to change what I couldn't change, and forced me to be uncomfortable.
It's like I could barely hear her over the music. Well, speaking of music, I decided to use the Saw soundtrack. It was a good fit, because, you know, this is a Saw crossover. Still not really sure how I came up with the idea of doing a Saw Chipmunks crossover. Not sure. Maybe it was a result of the ditched idea for Chi-Chi's costume, where she would end up in a saw trap, and the ultimate jigsaw of that all would be NCC. And yeah, I took that idea and ended up reusing it. I don't know.
That made me suffer day after day.
The TV screen turned off. Ian hurried across the...
The TV screen turned off.
He wobbled, constantly losing his balance.
It's actually not a bad idea for like
He was
a
able to reach the key,
torture trap for
but lost
Ian.
his footing turning around. Ian fell towards the inevitable and let out one last scream as he hit the spikes, stomach first. The most fatal stabs were in his neck and eyes, which was enough to end.
Delicious.
He had suffered like the many others he had made suffer before.
The many others? Well, I mean, I guess the boys and girls. Chapter 2 come out in a few days. God damn it, Emily!
Now you know that Eleanor's not playing nice anymore.
As if chaining them to the room wouldn't already imply that.
Your shackles. Failed
Wait a minute, hold on. Why did the caption say 5 hours, but Eleanor says 30 minutes?
failed to do so, and your hot boyfriend.
Hot according to the fandom.
The TV changed.
Especially
images.
Simon. Have you seen some of the edits people do with Simon? He's not hot, guys!
The time started ticking down, and the boys and girls started freaking out. Eleanor pedaled her way out of the room, leaving
Bye,
the girls
bitches!
chained to the floor with the clock ticking down. Jeanette figured the best option was to locate her glasses first. Brittany, however, had other plans.
Jeanette, I need you to grab that sword.
As much as I don't like my Britney voice, I do like the little Jeanette that I had. Like, every time I would say her name, I would always say it as Jeanette. It's kind of funny.
Jeanette lined up a shot, her only shot, and threw it over. However, it went flying to the left and smashed a mirror. It was sent flying back to the middle of the room, along with additional mirror
God damn it,
shots.
Jeanette.
Jeanette!
Jeanette!
You have to understand, I can't see without my glasses.
Brittany turned to the shattered mirror and noticed a message behind the glass.
Oh no.
There was still
I know
something
what's
in
coming
there.
up. Oh. Yeah, I know it was in the original Saw movie, and that's why I included it here, but it's still gross. And not like fun gore gross, it's just gross. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it soon.
The Q-U-V-O is a shit.
Oh yeah, just more casual S-bombs.
I don't know, but
It doesn't really work.
reveal the rest.
It's like when singers randomly just throw in swear words for no reason. That's kind of what this reminds me of.
With no other options, she took off her jacket and started using it like a whip.
Wait, hang on. Using it like a whip. She must be really close to the mirror then. Then why did she need to like throw on? You know what? I'm not gonna try and pick apart the plot holes of this stupid crossover story.
Finally, she just threw the jacket as hard as she could at the mirror, leaving it permanently.
No way a
out of
jack
reach.
would make that kind of
Luckily, it
shatter
smashed away
sound.
a big chunk of glass, revealing the rest of the message.
The key to vision is amongst the shit.
Among us.
Could be where my glasses are. The message might have meant literal shit, like in a toilet.
Yeah. See, the casual S-bomb just does not work, especially with someone like Jeanette saying it.
She stood up to look inside. Brittany gagged a little upon the sight of the poop-filled toilet.
Yeah, and poop is just it's the tension breaker. Because you got this tense, like, narration of this horror story, and then suddenly, upon the sight of the poop-filled toilet. Well, it's gonna make all the 5-year-olds who won't be able to watch this video laugh.
Brittany looked into the bowl in disgust, shut her eyes, and quickly stuck her hand in.
Yeah, it's the gross. It's like the
and it was
it's the
Jeanette's glasses.
gross kind of description, not the
That's
fun.
what we
Like gross, not fun gross.
If you go down deeper into the bowl,
No,
you could
don't go
find
deeper
her.
into the bowl.
Kill
Don't go.
Jeanette, and I will release you and the boys right away. Are you selfish enough to do it? Or will you take the risk for the sake of your vulnerable sister's life?
Now that actually I do like that dilemma of like just kill Jeanette right away and you and everyone will be free, or like keep going in order to help her even if it risks killing everyone. Like I still think that's a good dilemma that honestly it sounds like something John Kramer would have set up. He probably has in one of the Saw movies, but there's so many traps and stuff that I can't remember. So if he did do something like that, just to put it on screen.
I'm sorry. I want to live. My family.
She kept the note to herself, hiding it
Now,
inside
how
her
would she be
shirt,
able to read the
not
note if it
telling
was
Jeanette
covered in
what
poop?
she found.
Yeah, that was chapter 2. Gross. Hopefully now we get to come to the fun. Oh yeah, we get to come to the fun gross because I'm pretty sure this is. Yeah, I remember this is a good chapter. Well, there's a good part of it.
Brittany threw Jeanette her glasses, and after feeling around the floor, she was able to grab them. They were still covered in poop, so she had to use her own shirt to clean
Yeah,
it
didn't
off.
have to do that for the note.
I can see now.
Jeanette reached for the saw again and prepared to throw it with a lot more confidence than before. She tossed it across and it landed in front of Brittany.
So what's your plan? I'm going to try and cut through my chains.
Brittany hacked at the chains as hard as she could. No matter what she tried,
Just like the original
it didn't seem
Saw.
to make a dent.
Well, that failed. The saw has to have some other kind of purpose then. She wouldn't leave it in here.
Again, very in line with Jigsaw.
The only option I've come up with is sawing through our
Skin, you mean fur?
of our chains. Are you
Actually,
insane?
chipmunks still have
I'm
skin.
not cutting off my own foot.
It's just
We don't
underneath the
have a
fur.
whole lot of time left, and I don't see any other options.
You don't see other options? You're the
They
smart
threw
one,
on the
Jeanette.
clock,
Just,
which displayed
you could work
15
something
minutes.
out.
Jeanette looked at her foot while Brittany thought about that note for her. She started diving back into the toilet. She located the gun and pulled it out on Jeanette.
Brittany, what are you doing? I'm sorry, Jeanette, but this is the only way I can get free and save the boys. Please, Brittany, I'm your sister. We can do this together.
Brittany's arms
I mean,
shook.
it's the
Hearing
acting
Jeanette
isn't too
staring
bad,
head-on,
given that it's
she could see the
like one of my
fear in
first
her
times
sister's
doing
eyes.
this.
If you can't saw your foot off to escape, then I will.
Although Brittany and Jeanette sound the exact same in this scene. Like if we didn't have captions, I would not be able to tell who said what.
If you don't do this, Alvin will die. You two may seem to not get along, but I know deep down you like him. And Simon, he's my boyfriend.
Like, my attempt to try and like
Can't let him get
justify the whole relationship thing with Chipwrecked, because like the 4th movie made no mention to it at all. So I think this was my way of semi-addressing that. I don't know, I have a habit of addressing things that are unnecessary to address.
Brittany picked up the saw and hesitated. Many
Yeah, here we
thoughts
go, the
ran
fun
through her
part's
head.
coming up.
The clock was ticking. Only 13 minutes left. She gripped the saw and gave her sister a brave look.
I'd rather lose my foot than make you lose yours!
Brittany stabbed the saw into her foot and started hacking away at him. She screamed with every movement as Jeanette watched on in horror. Blood poured out and formed a huge puddle on the floor. She had reached the bone and had to use more force to make it through. 12 minutes on the clock.
The
She
sound
had to be fast.
design!
Finally.
Oh my god. Okay, so this audiobook was like my first big sound-based project probably ever. Like, I got to mess around with so many sound effects. Like, all the gore sound effects, stacking some on top of it, like... It was so much fun, and I think that this moment where she saws off her foot and then another moment coming up was like I had about like 4 or 5 different sound effect layers going for these, and it was really cool. I think there was a video I found of like a sound effect of bones sawing through flesh, and when I found that I was like, oh my god, this is freaking perfect. So I put that in there. I remember throwing in a bunch more blood sound effects, and then of course the screaming, which again was recorded at half speed and then sped up. So yeah, the original recording sounds a lot like this. But no, I'm still really proud of this sequence with like the sound design and how well it holds up, and even the music. Like the track I chose conveys a good sense of urgency. My only complaint is the narration, like, cringe. Again, if I were to remaster it, I would probably get a narrator who sounds like they know what they're doing.
Don't worry, Jeanette. I'll rescue the boys and then come back to help you. Okay. Good luck.
Brittany hopped out of the room with her note
Just like the
falling
original
out of
Saw.
shirt. On the back of the note, though, was another clue that Brittany didn't notice. Be careful with the gun. It's rigged to work against you. But with Brittany too far to hear her, all she could do was sit.
Too far to hear her? Like,
10 minutes
how much
later.
distance did Brittany cover in the time Jeanette read that note? While hopping.
She found the bathroom surveillance where Jeanette still sat, and the very hall she just ran down. The boys were impossible to locate, but she did find another trap room with a human victim inside. This one was Dave.
Just
and he
randomly
had a
throwing
large
Dave in.
pipe in front of his mouth.
Oh. And that pipe trap, that's pretty much just a 1-for-1. I'm pretty sure most of these traps are just 1-for-1 from the Saw movies. Like, the boys had the reverse bear trap on from Saw 1. This has the pipe in front of the mouth from Saw 7. And I think Ian's was probably the most original trap. But even then, I think there was another Saw movie that had like a one where they were navigating across planks to get a key and then coming back around, except I think the condition in that one was that the man was blind, but in this one he was wearing uncomfortable small shoes that made it impossible to balance. So I guess in that one I changed it up a bit, whereas with this one and the bear trap there was like practically no change. Oh, and the bathroom scene as well, that was mostly untouched from the original film.
Brittany pointed the gun on her.
Do it. I dare you. This isn't
I like that "do it, I do" delivery.
It's not too late to change. Release everyone and I'll spare you. And let you go back to having all the attention again?
And let you go back to having all the attention again? God, more of that, like, really weird delivery. I think there's another one coming up as well in this same scene.
I tried to give you a chance, and now you'll die. And the boys will have no hope of rescue.
Yeah, there we go, there it is. Like it's supposed to be Brittany I tried to give you a chance, and now you'll die. And then Eleanor responding, and the boys will have no hope of rescue. Like kind of finishing her sentence, but implying something more sinister. But I think in this, it just sounds like I recorded it in one straight sentence when it's not supposed to quite be like that.
You're the one dying here, not me!
Ah, there it is. Haha, yes, die, bitch, die. This was satisfying because not only did I get to kill Brittany, it's something I had always wanted to do in that time because of how overexposed she was online, but also this was another case of like combining a bunch of different sound effects on top of each other to create something cool. Like, the whole gun firing backwards thing was again ripped from Jigsaw, and even the sound effect that I created sounds similar to the one used in Jigsaw. So I think it was a combination of it was like a gunshot noise, a frying pan sound effect from Team Fortress 2, and then a couple of blood stuff. And I think I'm pretty happy with the sound effect that it came out. Maybe the pan effect could be toned down a little bit, but I still think this particular sound effect, section holds up.
Eleanor smiled to herself as Brittany's lifeless body fell to the floor. Jeanette ran into the room.
Oh, yep, and Jeanette's here.
She should have read the back of that note. Also, how did you escape? I found a number on the back of the mirror shards and discovered a hidden safe behind the wall. Behind that was the key to my chamber.
Hey, Jeanette being useful.
Here you go, Smarty Pants. And
Why didn't you do that before?
find me with 8 minutes to spare. You should probably spend that 8 minutes finding my victims.
Jeanette looked behind Eleanor and saw the monitor with Dave on it. She recognized the door.
I don't really
She ran
think
past it
Dave
before.
really deserved this. I think out of all the characters shoved in these traps, Dave was probably the one that deserved it the least. Dave didn't really do anything. He didn't hog the spotlight. He didn't mistreat her. In hindsight, I don't really know why Dave is here. But maybe I just needed an excuse to kill off another victim.
Jeanette burst into the room and the door slammed shut behind her.
Jeanette, get me out of here.
Shout out to Khan for playing Dave for one line.
In 30 seconds, that device will go through Dave's mouth, silencing him forever. He will never shout out his
Again, this seems really unnecessary. Why did you target
Jeanette
Dave?
looked angrily at her sister, but realized
Dave
that
didn't do
rescuing
anything
Dave
wrong.
was the
What
top
the hell,
priority.
Eleanor?
She then discovered an off switch behind a glass case. The case was locked with a padlock. Jeanette needed to find the combination, but there wasn't any numbers around the
Oh,
room.
another example
As
of the
clock
captions
dropped
being
down to 10
inconsistent.
seconds, Jeanette tried the combination from her chains earlier out of desperation. It worked and the case opened, but before Jeanette could pull the switch, the sounds of flesh getting stabbed interrupted her. She turned to see the rod through Dave's head and
Gory
blood flowing out of his
sounds.
mouth. Eleanor walked through the halls of the building, with Jeanette following behind. She turned many corners. It felt like they were walking.
It's not really
forever.
explained what room, what building or what room Eleanor is doing all this, torches and trap stuff in. It's suddenly Eleanor has access to a room with an abandoned bathroom and security cameras and stuff like that. Actually, how the hell could Eleanor have, kidnapped the humans and carried them? Yeah, when you think about the story too hard, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Suddenly, everything went black.
Ooh.
3 minutes
Everything
to
went
go.
black. 3 minutes. It's kind of funny. The next chapter is 2 hours. Oh god, not 2 hours. 2 minutes and 47 seconds. And there's 3 minutes left on the clock. So it's kind of close. I don't know. I don't think I did that on purpose. Ah, the Hello
Her eyes
Zep
opened.
music.
Her vision blurred. All she could see were shades of black, blue, and grey. Alongside her were red and blue dots. Everything became clear. Jeanette fully knew where she was this time.
Also, I like how
Dark
this
room.
chapter
Alvin
opens,
and Simon across
echoes the opening of the first chapter.
Have you got some kind of accomplice? You certainly couldn't have pulled all of this off alone. Well, I suppose if you like.
I wonder who it is. The one character who hasn't
Eleanor
appeared
turned
in the
to a
story
shadowed
yet.
figure who was watching the whole conversation. The figure stepped out of the shadows, revealing himself to be Theodore
Dun
Seville.
dun dun.
Yes, Jeanette.
Yeah, so Theodore is the twist accomplice. I mean, again, that's also kind of keeping in line with Saw and how they would, always be like, oh my god, this person was helping the entire time. But I think Theodore of all characters is probably the least likely to have joined along this, because, yeah, he does get outshined, but, again, Dave didn't do anything wrong. How would he be okay with killing his dad? And the story doesn't really make sense. I think it's just an excuse to have, chipmunks do gory things. I guess if one good thing came out of the Theodore twist, it was Metal Lord's performance as, Psycho Theo. I love it. I still love it.
Eleanor's not
Let's
the
listen to
only
it.
one who gets outshined by their siblings. Hardly anyone mentions me. It's always Alvin's killer notes or Simon's wicked guitar solo.
It's a sinister take on Theodore that we don't really hear.
It appealed to me. But Theo, you're chubby and adorable.
Shout out to him.
And what else?
Jeanette went silent.
That's about right. I'm nothing but the fat one. The dumb one. The one that no one cares about.
Yeah, if anything, Theodore should, if we're going by the logic that, people only remembered him as the fat one and he hardly got any attention, it would make more sense for him to set up this trap than Eleanor, because in recent years, Eleanor has gotten a lot more attention. especially compared to Theodore. Theodore's had like almost nothing, even in the 3 years since this story came out. Do better, Chipmunk community. Give our boy Theo some love, or he might murder you.
Whitney's already dead. So is Dave and Eve.
Alvin and Simon panicked, while also crying over the loss of their dad.
Again, Theodore doesn't care apparently.
You just wasted all of your remaining time wanting to know my accomplice.
Jeanette, I thought you were the smart one. You should have known that revealing my accomplice would waste all your remaining time. You idiot?
10 seconds left.
I think it's time we get out of here. Make sure the door's locked. We don't want Jeanette or the smell of your brother's corpses getting out.
Eleanor and Theodore walked towards the exit.
This is the longest 10 seconds
Jeanette
ever.
freaked out and tried to get the device off, with no hope. The timer hit 0 and the devices snapped open. Alvin and Simon's faces burst,
Oh my god.
and their face parts were sent
Ah
flying.
yes.
Cracked
Build up.
skulls and split faces, with blood and guts all over Jeanette's
Also
face.
love the use of faces twice.
Eleanor turned the lights off as Jeanette cried out to her.
Game over.
Eleanor slammed the door shut, and it would never be opened again.
Hey, love that. Like, maybe I'm just a sucker for like Hello Zep, and listening to that reminded me of when I first watched the twist ending of Saw 1, and they like played this music and had a similar scene at the end with like the game over, door slam. Nah! I still love that. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a cool way to end this as well. I don't know, this story was not as bad as I remember it. There definitely were some bad bits, but I don't know, I still really liked it. Yeah, it was one of my first times voice acting as like the Chipettes. It was one of my first feature-length stories. Like, I had done previous works on Wattpad, and I had already like began planning an SFM series that would never come to light. That's a story for another day. I don't know, I think like a lot of things came together, and for my first big audio-based project, I'd say it came really well, and I learned a lot from making it. The stuff I did learn would ultimately end up going on to help me make Gigi's radio show, which I may do a breakdown of in the future. But you know what? Let's think about that later, because for now, we still have one more video of the October Takeover. Yeah, I actually, while listening to the story, I kind of forgot that all of this was supposed to be a video that NCC made as part of a Halloween special. Completely forgot that in between all this there was an ongoing story arc. But yeah, we now come to the finale of the October Takeover, with the appropriately named Takeovers Over.
Halloween's over. The costume's off.
Now Naimachichi has her current voice.
Come to an end.
Oh, it's not over yet.
That drawing still hasn't gotten any better.
To address your little act of rebellion.
Oh, hello, Nightmare Chipmunk Chi-Chi. I must say, I'm impressed with your Halloween project. It definitely topped last year's.
What the hell, Naimachichi? It definitely topped last year's? Like, I feel like that was an insult to everyone who helped with Join Us for a Bite. Like, what the hell, man? Everyone did great on that, and I'm surprised that people joined it in the first place, because it was such an outrageous idea. Even more surprising, I'm surprised people wanted to do it again, like, a couple years later. But yeah, what the hell? Why are you dissing everyone? Everyone did, like, such a good job on that Halloween special. Maybe you are evil.
This was and always will be a FNAF channel.
No, it's not. Once I use my powers to kill you, it will be a chipmunk channel.
It's hilarious in hindsight with all of this. Like, they're fighting, like, oh, it's gonna be like a FNAF channel. And she's like, no, it's gonna be a chipmunk channel. And later on, Chi-Chi comes in and she's like, no, it's not gonna be, like, neither will be more important. It's gonna be a multi-fandom channel forever. Looking at the channel now, I think it's safe to say NCC ended up getting the last laugh.
It will be neither.
Oh my god, yep. Another case, and it's all the same problems as before. The traced PNGs, not even attempting to do shadows or color correction on the drawing. Even the SFM lighting in that is bad. Like, I can barely see Kane in there.
How did you escape? I'm a talking chipmunk. I can get out of a cage. Not even that hard to do.
Now that line, that was supposed to be a reference to the first Chipmunks movie.
We are talking chipmunks, Dave. We can get out of a cat carrier. Not even hard to do.
But ultimately, I don't think anyone picked up on that. Either that or nobody really cared. And
She saw Nightmare Chi-Chi's video and figured she would have
okay, Kane
captured
still
us
does
too,
have that old echo.
so she freed us if we left to confront her.
But not before helping me with my costume situation.
There she is. A new look.
You don't understand how much I hate being in this costume. It's horrible compared to my other one.
I mean, I don't really know. I like, in hindsight, I think the Switch is a lot better. I like this costume, like, choice a lot better than the old model. I think not only does it suit Chi-Chi better, but it was better to animate as well. Like, the fingers didn't look like stiff circles. It was like a proper connected hand, and I don't know. I liked the general shape. It just looked a lot better and suited Chi-Chi a lot better. So it ultimately ended up being a better fit. I remember, like, there were quite a few comments saying it reminded people of Zachary 37 and the whole Toy Chica costume change arc. And I guess I can see the resemblance. She also hated her new look. But then she would, like, go on to devote the rest of the season to try and get her old costume back before saying, nah, never mind, I like this one now. And Chi-Chi wouldn't do that, because, like, outside of these lines saying how much she hated it, she didn't really have any kind of complaints going forward. That's probably good. I didn't want to linger on the costume part of itself for too long. I just wanted a simple law reason as to why she changed her costume, and that was it.
But you will be used to it, and hopefully all the fans will too.
Yes, all the fans.
God, that sounds like a
Both
threat.
Snap and Chipmunks have
All
played a big
the
role in my
fans.
channel and introduced me to many new friends. This is not a FNAF channel. This is not a Chipmunks channel. It's both.
Whoa.
Neither will be more important than the other.
Whoa.
Chi-Chi Does Stuff is a multi-fandom channel, and it will stay that way forever.
Whoa. No. You're funny, Chi-Chi. You're real funny. I want to make this a multi-fandom channel, but like, if you looked at my recent uploads, it would be safe to say that this is a Chipmunks channel, but that is definitely not my intention. I think that's just how it's happened to work out with my current videos. Like, the MEPs I've saved happen to be Chipmunk ones. The most engaging characters I have from the Chi-Chi-verse are Chipmunks. Yeah, it's just how things have worked out, and while I have been trying to progress more towards, like, multi-fandom, yeah, I haven't been doing a good enough job at it. Like, FNAF has basically become obsolete, and that's mostly because SFM is garbage, and me semi-growing out of FNAF as a whole. Yeah, it leaves future projects like Last Chance in a bit of like a awkward hiatus state, because I want to make them, but SFM is garbage. I don't know, that's all stuff I want to talk about another day. We'll get back to, we'll push play on the video. But yeah, no, multi-fandom channel. Good one.
Once I find a way to gain powers like Nightmare Chipmunk Chi-Chi, I will destroy you.
She doesn't have powers, but she can teleport.
Well, I'm not running away like that, coward. It's time for all of you to die!
Hey, finally, some attempt at color correction. To make them blend and stuff. So as such, this is probably the best looking shot with the drawings inside the SFM environment, because at least the color looks more consistent. But like, that energy ball, there was like I would have done like a hue and like made it entirely pink. Whereas it looks like with that, I just blasted the color balance towards the pink, because you can still see the blue outline around the ball. Also, this is the first time we see the radio show trio in a frame together. That's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, and if I were to do this again, like, I was using just like a regular wipe. But I think if I were to do it now, I would do like a disintegration effect in After Effects. This looks bad, but yeah, it's kind of funny how we had this like big villain built up all across the special. And then this is how she gets killed off. She just gets erased out of existence by me. I still find that really funny. She isn't really needed on this channel. Last thing we need is another version of Chi-Chi that's never going to appear again just to confuse people. True that. Now that Halloween's over, time to focus on a certain someone's birthday. And then the new outro. Shout out to Shashel Shah for the Diamond Heart outro used with this version of Chi-Chi's model. I really like the work on it. Also shout out to the current artist who I've been using for the current Diamond Heart outro song. Still not really sure why I picked Diamond Heart of all songs, but it's one that's become synonymous with the channel, and I know it's still a good song. But yeah, that was the October Takeover / Eleanor Wants to Play audiobook. It was the director's commentary with a little bit of behind the scenes. Now, the big question. Do these still hold up? Aspects of it do. Like, I love some of the gore sound effects, and yeah, okay, that's really it. Even if the work itself is kind of not so good, I think this arc was a very important one for the channel, because the audiobook was the first time I got to do a big audio edit based project, which led to Chi-Chi's radio show and my current work having a lot more of a complex sound structure. And then the October Takeover part of it was the first time that I was able to do a story with the universes crossing over into each other, which again would lead to Chi-Chi's radio show and other future kinds of stories that I've got in the works, such as Last Chance. Even if I don't love every part of it, I'm still really happy with how a lot of it came out and what it would ultimately do for the channel. Now, whether the stuff it did was good or bad for the channel's direction, I think that's up to you to decide. But yeah, this was a lot of fun to revisit, especially seeing such different ideas that wouldn't have been made into a video today, like the Saw Chipmunk crossover and then just NCC as a whole. Like, creating a whole new version of Chi-Chi solely for this Halloween special, only to have her killed off and never return. It's something I haven't really done since. I haven't created a character specifically for an event and then gotten rid of them after the event. They've always come back in another story, but I think NCC is going to be the one exception. The one that was made exclusively for the October Takeover and never coming back. Right?
Oh, she has no idea.